a meal on the table, and, you know, no one was beating us, and, you know, there was none of that going on. But we were pretty much raised by the, you know, the Lord of the Flies rules in that house. It was, you know, whoever the toughest kid that was home at the moment was running the roost. And it was usually my oldest sister, so, which never had a problem getting alcohol for us if it would shut us up so she could go out with her boyfriend. So, you know, alcohol was always available. Drank heavily throughout high school. My senior year in Michigan, there's a thing called TIP. It's a scholarship you get from the state of Michigan that will pay for your college. And I got that, and joined, you know, went to college for about a minute. And then I ran into a military recruiter while I was on the campus, and I ended up joining the service, and I was in the service, the United States Navy, for just a tad over a decade. And in the Navy, you know, which I'm thankful for, they had these long deployments where you would go without drinking, but the minute you got support anywhere, whether it's home, you know, a stateside port in the United States or overseas, an abroad port, you drank. You know, that's really all we could do. I mean, you know, the Navy takes these, you know, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids, pulls them away from everything they know. They have no you know, your family's back in Michigan, you're in Seattle, Washington. You know, you all you got to do is hang out with the staff on the ship and drink. So drink a lot. I learned how to drink there. Near the end of my military career, I was stationed in upstate New York, in Albany, New York, and I was in charge of, like, where the well, I shouldn't say in charge. I was on the team that determined where the radioactive waste went when we made a bunch of radioactive waste. I was in the nuclear power program. And that was a great job. But my boss was also a heavy drinker. She was in a, you know, what she would herself proclaimed, you know, loveless marriage. And so I spent a lot of time in that environment, and it was not unusual for her to, you know, seal our corridor off and, you know, bring in the drinks for everybody. She wasn't opposed to that. So we drank, you know, there. Got out of the service. Still a pretty heavy drinker, but really mainly on the weekends and some stuff during the week. And then, you know, started my human resources career moving along. And then I got really lucky. I landed a job that really gave me a lot of autonomy, which was not a good thing, because I didn't have to be in a specific place at a specific time. So therefore, I could drink into the wee hours of the night, into the next morning, get up when I wanted, you know, show up and make sure the HR stuff was squared away, and hurry back to the hotel room or wherever I was staying, and, you know, and get it on. So that really kind of started my heavy drinking. And near the end of it, you know, you know, I would drink a fifth during the day, leisurely, you know, getting a shot here and there. And then, you know, when I got home, I'd tear into another fifth, and, you know, usually kind of knock that off before I faded into, you know, the abyss of sleep, if you even want to call it sleep. But it was blackout drunk kind of stuff. So it was a bad thing. So it was really a problem. And I'm super fortunate I got away with, you know, minimal health impact, and I never caught a case, you know, thank God for Uber and Lyft in the later years, you know, for, you know, keeping me out of the jail cell. So I was very fortunate in that regard. But anyway, you know, I ended up in San Jose, California with a great job after ending my retail career. And it's been a pretty awesome ride there. On June 19th of 2019, after some comments at work I was at a meeting prior to that, and one of my colleagues, who must have thought I was not in earshot range, or maybe she did, I don't know, mentioned that, hey, if you want Chris to sign something, just send it to him after 6 p.m. He'll sign anything. And I thought, oh my God, you know. And then I remember going home after that meeting and thinking, I'm not only, I've already ruined all these relationships by not showing up to stuff and, being a very shut in drunk. But now even my colleagues at least I thought, had a high opinion of me previously, I was beginning to lose them, and that really impacted me. So on June 19th of 2019, I stumbled into rehab and Kaiser Permanente, and they sent me to the ER because I was detoxing really bad at that point, and the voices and the hallucinations were there. It was really that bad, and they were worried about me. They were worried I was going to have a seizure or stroke out. So they sent me to the ER. The ER sobered me up, released me, and June 22nd, I started my program with Kaiser, and they hooked me up with a bunch of things, but the most important thing that they hooked me up with was AA. And I can remember going to my very first AA meeting. I was in San Jose, California, and mind you, I lived in Redding, California for years before that, and Redding's like a very podunk town. It's got 90,000 people in the metro area of Redding, but it's really just really podunk town. And being in San Jose was kind of crazy. So I'm driving to my very first meeting because they're mandated by the rehab place. And there's a brush fire on the freeway, so the cops and the fire people have it closed down. And I call my friend, and I'm like, you can't get sober in the Bay. I'm done. Like, it's crazy. And she's like, if it was a liquor store, you'd make it. Figure it's F out. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. If it was the liquor store, I'd put it in 4-wheel drive and drive around them if I had to, right? I'd figure it out. So I did. I ended up getting off the freeway and taking some back streets, and I got there on time. Met my sponsor there, which started my sobriety journey. It was important for me. I'm not saying everybody needs a sponsor, but it was important for me to have a sponsor, someone I could call and just tell anything to, no matter how reckless I'd been that day, no matter, what I was thinking and how bad it was. My sponsor was someone I could just call and say things to. And I had that in my friend Carolyn too. She was the person I was close to, who I could call and share things with. And today I call her my battle buddy because I take her with me places and stuff like that. Talk a little more about that in a minute. But anyway, started my sobriety journey. And from there, I think I was at my 4-month point when I had said no to about 9 people already about being their sponsor. I was like, no, but I can find you one. Let me hook you up with somebody. And I would find all these other sponsors and make the connection. And finally, one of my sponsee brothers, one of my sponsees, my sponsee brother, grabbed me and said, hey, why are you sending people to other people? You've been through the 12 steps, you're going back through a second time. You're ready. So then I started taking on sponsees, and now I have 4. I've only lost 1, and that was on step 4. And I hear step 4 is one of the ones that you lose into an AA. But anyway, so I'm in the program, immersed in AA, and I have a very good backup team with just friends, families, very supportive. I've got Kaiser Permanente insurance, the best insurance in the world. I have access to, adult behavioral health, counseling. If I want to call the 800 number and talk to the nurse hotline, she'll even get someone from the drug and alcohol program to join us on the call. So it works out pretty well. So the programs that I've been in have been pretty good. I really enjoy Sobriety Engine as well, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But one of the things that I was determined out the gate to get sober. Once I committed to it, but it was that time in the hospital, that day and a half in the hospital, sobering up, that I really got to reflect on what it meant. And I had sobered up a couple times on my own without a program, short-lived stints, and I'd sewn together a very short period of time in there, but I always knew that I was going to drink again. And really, I just wanted to control my drinking. I didn't want to stop. But by the time I went to rehab, I knew it was time to call it quits. So I'm in the program doing my stuff, and things start coming back to me. In the very beginning, I had to let a lot of people go from my life. I mean, the people who continued to call me and invite me to the bar, the people who came over to my house with liquor in their car and, trying to bring it into the house and things like that. I couldn't keep exposing myself to that. I wasn't strong enough yet. And to be honest, I don't know if I'm still strong enough. I don't put myself in any alcohol situation without a battle buddy. And that battle buddy is usually Carolyn. And she's not afraid to extract me from a situation. She'll physically stop me from walking into a place if that's not the right thing for me to do. It's a very good relationship. So that's awesome that I have that. I think that there are things that make me fearful in the program as well. I do worry about complacency up until March 16th, when the California shelter in place rule went into effect. I was hosting 2 meetings a week at my home group. I was training other secretaries. I was working with other people from the group to get them more involved in some of this stuff. I also have an accounting background. And so I was training the new treasurer, and then COVID happened, boom. And it was like a flip of a switch. All that support structure and all that stuff that was keeping me busy, which is exactly what I need, went away with the flip of a switch. There was no church gatherings for us at the church where we do our AA meetings. Our little small study group that wasn't really an AA meeting, it was just a small study group for step work, dissolved pretty rapidly after that. And I found myself in a really bad situation about 6 weeks into COVID. And I was, I was at the house in San Jose. I was by myself. My husband was at work, and I was just sitting there, and man, that's a bad place to be when you're just sitting alone, and you don't have anything to do that evening, and it's just you, and I had gathered some work stuff that I could knock out, some administrative type stuff that I could knock out, but truth be told, I didn't have any commitments that evening, and I think I thank my higher power, God, that something clicked in my head that this is a very dangerous place for you, Chris. This is dangerous. You're alone. There's no one, there's nothing that you have to get to sober in the next, 12 to 16 hours. You could easily have a couple drinks now, sober up before work tomorrow. And I called a couple people on my phone list and got talked back off of that ledge. So I'm in a good place now, and I can see if you're in AA, then you know about the promises. And I didn't see the promises right away, but I was very lucky. I didn't, when everyone has a different rock bottom. I still had my job, I still had my husband, I still had the support of family and friends. I hadn't ruined all that, and to be honest, it wasn't due to my great nature of character that I kept all those people. It was that my disease made me go away and hide. When everyone was downstairs enjoying themselves at my place for any kind of gathering, I was upstairs drinking. At night, I turn my phone off and go in the room and drink. I just wanted to be left alone and drink. And luckily that helps a lot with steps 4, 5, 8, and 9, because you're not really wreaking havoc out in the community and among your friends per se. But what you are doing is you're really breaking those relationships. Those people who can help you aren't helping you because they're not there. They're not seeing it. You're hiding it. And therefore they're not able to intervene and offer you the help that you need. So where I am today, I'm in a good spot. I stay close to the sobriety community, whether it's, Sobriety Engine or, my AA group. We have these things. There are a couple of in-person meetings in San Jose, and I do go to 2 of those a week, and that's nice. So that's where I am today, just trying to stay sober. So determined to keep it that way, and fearful that if I get complacent and I allow myself to be, home alone at 6 p.m. with, the husband traveling for work, I'm home alone. There's no one to come over. There's nowhere to be for the next 16 hours. that's a great time for someone like me to use my bad thinking to think that it's okay to have a drink. So I need to avoid those situations, and I do. Usually I'll just go back to the office. There's always people in the office, and start knocking out a little bit of work and things like that. But yeah, just trying to stay busy and trying to, fearful that if I don't keep a tight community agenda with people who are sober, I am very prone to failing at staying sober. So that's my story. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for that share, Chris. I definitely, wrote down several points about. I feel like you and my connection is the lonely drinkers here, because I would go get myself a bottle and go in the room. Didn't care who was in the house, but I'm gonna get drunk first. And I have a great relationship with myself in this bottle, and not realizing all the outside relationships I'm destroying. And I too have found a lot of significance in the weight of a solid community. It keeps me home all the time, hearing people like you share your story, telling me little bits of my disease and correlating that with a lot of people. I think complacency is one of my greatest fears as well. If I feel like I've got this, I need to check my stinking thinking and see what's going on in my head, because it's a dangerous place, and like the empty time, the no routine, the nobody around, like that's where I fell into the most danger too. Like the house is alone. Like you like to say, I can really get my drink on now, like no one's going to judge me. I don't got to tiptoe on eggshells. I can just get down how I need to get down right now. And it's totally oblivious to my life and what is happening. And it's a dangerous mindset to be in. And so it is a very great points to remain fearful of what lingers, and the with a split choice to make the wrong decision, and to stay determined to work the process, to stay determined to trust that process, as it takes a lot of vigilance, and it takes a lot of courage and bravery, and it's I think it's always admirable for the people who are willing to come and share their stories with me and everybody else. And I want to thank you for giving us time to share your story today. Is there anybody who wants to support Chris or has insight for Chris or questions for the group or anything at all? All right. Leo.
Morning, Chris. Thanks for your share. It was honest. It was right there, and I appreciate it a lot. Can I share something that helped me that might be of assistance to you? And it's not an attack, brother. It's just an observation, and you can tell me, what, I'm full of bunk and to mind my own business, and you won't hurt my feelings if you do that, okay? I kept myself busy too during my drinking career. I kept myself very, very busy. And when I was on my program, my group leader, he's like Dr. Phil. He's really confrontational, and I really like that in him. I needed that kind of person, eh? And so he told me, well, tell me about what you do. And I told him that I was really heavily involved in my union. I was elected vice president of a union 3 times, and it was like 1,000-person men and women union. And I did it to protect myself because I got like so many suspensions and almost fired because of my drinking. So I did it to protect myself. So I got a healthy respect for HR, EAP, and like that. And he said, well, tell me about that. And I said, I enjoyed it. I protected myself. And he said, did it feed your ego? And I said, damn straight, because I was really good at it. Whenever anything happened, it was always, get Leo, get Leo, get Leo. And they would come. And he said, do you know why you did that? And I said, because I was really good at it. And he said, nope. This is the point I want to make to you, please. He said, as long as you were working on their stuff, you didn't work on your stuff. And that's the truth. Staying busy is good, my friend, but you got to get yourself sorted out first. And again, not an attack, no disrespect. Tell me to mind my own business, and I'm full of bunk. You know, that's said with love and care, not with anything else. If I don't work on my stuff, I'm done. Thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, I can relate to that. The maintenance stage here. When I don't have a routine, I am at the greatest danger, and I have found the busier I stay, the easier it is for me to keep that disease at bay, that dysfunctional thinking. So thank you for that share, Leo. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to share with us? Also, I apologize for my internet, guys.
I'll go. Chris, I definitely resonated a lot when you said that COVID hit. Definitely all your routines got shut out. Anything that you could do got shut out. I mean, that really triggered me in my addiction too. And one thing I realized that, I mean, I know our age gap is different, but I'm always around people who are drinking, using, whatever. I mean, even my family. And at the end of the day, like, I realized, like, I have to be strong enough to say no. And this isn't a dig at you. I'm not trying to be mean, but I think, like, have the confidence and self-trust in yourself that you will be okay without a battle buddy, and that it's just not worth it. And I think that that would be like a great step for you in general, is that, you can be in these situations and do better for your own self. And it's okay to be selfish. And you don't have to explain why you're not doing anything to anyone or anybody, or any sort of justification. And that's something I had to learn the hard way personally. And I think that that would be awesome for you. And I think that you're positive. You give me great advice all the time with all your quotes. You obviously lead other people, so thank you for that. And I mean, just keep kicking ass, and you have that one step, so don't forget that. But congrats and way to go.
Gail, would you like to share?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Gail, alcoholic here. Thank you so much, Chris, for being here and having the guts to share your story and what's worked for you. And it's obviously working for you, although everything is work in progress for all of us. I am completely different in that when COVID hit, that is when I really, like, I'd been thinking about, it's time for me to quit. It's time for me to do something. But when COVID hit, I got quarantined because I had traveled to Florida to visit my daughter. So I was stuck at home for 2 weeks. And at that time, they were telling me, you can't even open your door. You can't go on your deck. You can't breathe. And I had a real freak out during those 2 weeks. And it was really hard. But by the end of those 2 weeks, I realized that I am all I have. And for better or worse, I realized that I am alone in this, and I am the make or break for me. And I've had lots of breakdowns since. Shouldn't say lots, I've had a few, but it's really helped me gain in strength for what is important for me. And other than Sobriety Engine here, like, you guys really, really are my family. I have felt alone, and it is exactly what I needed. I believe that my God, my higher power, has put in front of me what I needed to realize that I am enough, and I need to keep working on it. Your story of your younger years, when you're in service, and that's just what everybody did, that's still the case, whether you're young or middle-aged or old. For me, when I became divorced, that's what divorced people do. You go out and party and relive your childhood. And boy, did we ever. And I think society is changing very slowly, but in a positive way, in that, no, we don't need to do this. It's not the expected anymore. To fit in, you don't have to drink, you don't have to use. And that's the way I'm living, trying to live. But thank you for sharing your story. It's good to be here, even though we had snow this morning.
Hey, I'm David,
Thank
alcoholic.
you.
Hey, Chris, I really like what you had to say. I'm a software engineer just outside of Chicago. And before COVID hit, I was in the office 3 days a week, 4 days a week, maybe. Now I'm at home and isolated from everything that I enjoyed, the people, working with people and my friends that I've been at the company I'm at for over 20 years. So I have a lot of really good friendships, and those have all been severed. I mean, we're not severed, but it's not the same when you're not in person. Anyway, and what I related to what you said when you talked about your drinking is the isolation, and how I needed to pull myself away from everybody. My wife, my son, my parents, my sister, everybody, because I was ashamed of the fact that I couldn't cope with life without a bottle, and I needed it, and I needed to use it, and so I didn't hurt anybody in the sense that I didn't do it intentionally. I mean, well, I guess I did do it intentionally. I was trying to protect myself and to cope with the feelings that I was having without reaching out to them and using them as support for me, to people that could help me. I kept thinking, I can do this on my own. I don't need anybody's help. That's the thing I struggle with the most. It's like, that lone wolf kind of thing. I think I can do this, and you know what? I'm not going to reach out. I'm not going to talk about my feelings. Who wants to talk about their feelings, right? It's something I struggle with a lot, and I have to force myself to do it because it's uncomfortable. I feel I'll be rejected. I'll feel like nobody will listen. I'll feel like it'll be dismissed as, well, you're just being emotional. But I think what's been happening lately for me is a sense that the more I let go of wanting to put everything back together that I destroyed, like my family, my son, not that I destroyed it, but I mean that I've hurt people in that sense, my son, my wife. I broke the trust. That's the hurt, right? So I think what I'm finding out is the more I just let go of it and let me focus on my stuff, what I have to do, and not worry about them, and not trying to hold everything together, and not trying to make everything perfect and make everything look good from the outside, but just be real, authentic, then I'm in a better place. So I don't know, that was kind of a ramble, but I really like what you had to share, Chris. So thanks.
So hey everybody, I do appreciate the feedback, and yeah, there's some great advice in there. And Stephanie, one day when I'm feeling a lot more stronger in my sobriety, I could kick the battle buddy to the curb. But for now, I'm very thankful I have the insurance, and she's one of my best friends, so it's nice to have her there anyway, because we can talk about stuff, right? So yeah, it works out pretty well. And Leo, you know, my year 2 in sobriety, which, you know, is still a good half year away. I'll work on maybe even getting more deep into stuff, but I do my step work with my sponsor all the time. I do my stuff. So I do take time for me to do that. But you're right. It's a very easy for me to go to the office and get lost in everyone else's shit. So I don't have to focus on mine. And you're not the first person to say that to me. So I know it's sound advice because I actually have a psychiatrist in the adult behavioral health department at Kaiser, and on multiple occasions this topic has come up. So I thank you for that. And then I thank everybody for the feedback. Is pretty cathartic. If you haven't shared on one of these, you should. Thanks for asking, Travis.
Absolutely. You know, and I just wanted to say, when you came in about the same time as Steph, and like your share just struck me, and I was like, holy shit, this guy has like, he's got an incredible amount of insight and awareness, and I'm just gonna reach out to him because I think he's got a little there. And so I thank you for, you know, expressing the courage and the authenticity to want to come here and share this story with us. I feel like these are very healing meetings. It allows us all to relate, and, you know, especially when we are in a spot where I've been in recovery for a while, what more can I do to help myself out? You know, these are the kind of things that help us get more insight to apply to our programming to help us stay in the moment. There's many times where I probably do put too much work on my plate just to distract myself from the days. And then I'll wake up in the morning and be like, wow, I didn't really work on my recovery yesterday. I kind of feel shitty. I need to work a little bit harder on myself today. And for me, the hardest part has been about balancing the work on myself, you know, giving and taking in life.
I think we lost him for a second.
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Yeah.
So if everyone can hear me, I'm just going to say something, Chris. Thank you for your share. This is the first Saturday speaker meeting I've made it to. Everybody knows I'm really new into my recovery, so hearing what you had to say hit home because I'm ex-military, started drinking at the same age as 12 also. So it's good to hear that. And yeah, I mean, if we go out to dinner, half the time it has to be somewhere where there's no alcohol served because I'm afraid that I won't be strong enough. And I don't mean to sound rambly, but I've been up since about 7 o'clock yesterday morning, so I am tired. Insomnia caught me. Alcohol is one of the things that helped me sleep. And now I'm not sleeping, so. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for your share. It kind of hit home, and hopefully I can get a couple-hour nap in before my 7-year-old gets here, because she's at her dad's right now. But Chris, thanks for your share.
Oh, thank you so much, Jen. And I saw your comment in the comment sections. Yeah, when I was in New York, one of my best friends graduated from RPI. So yeah,
My daughter loved RPI.
Yeah,
she just graduated from there. She works in Maryland now, in the chemical engineering field.
Yeah, it's a great degree, great school. Thanks.
Hey, Jen, I just wanted to say stick with it. The sleeping will get better. It really will. And you will have the best sleep you have had in forever when it kicks in. You will feel rested eventually. I'm there and I love it.
That's the funniest thing about drinking. Like, you don't really sleep. You just kind of pass out and then you wake up and you're tired. You're still tired. You can't sleep.
Right.
Fidgety.
Exactly.
You're going through all this stuff. But you're like, I just woke up from like an 8-hour pass out. I should be well rested. You're not rested. Your brain's not resting. It's horrible. It is. And Gail's absolutely right. In time, that will fade. I mean, you know, this is going to sound crazy, but I went to bed at like 7:30 last night. So, you know, woke up a couple times in the middle of the night to grab a little snack, use the restroom, and then slept till like 5:20 this morning. So I'm good. Yeah, and it took a long time to get there, though. It really did, Jen.
I was gonna say, Jen, I know too, like, you don't hit REM sleep, which is like your deepest stage of sleep at all when you're drinking. And I remember, like, I don't know why, and I don't know if y'all did this, but every time I drank, I would wake up at like 3 in the morning, like, where the fuck am I? And what the fuck's happening? And all the time, and I would just wake up like literally like don't even know where my clothes, like crazy shit. And I just remember being like, I'm not sleeping. And then I would sleep for like 4 days. Like my crash was unreal, but once it gets better, it really will. I suffer from insomnia without addiction, and my addiction just made it completely worse due to all the stimulants I did. But once you sleep, you honestly will get so clear headed and it'll be amazing. So just keep on a routine, I will say for now, and just try and, you know, do what you can, but it'll get better for sure.
Yeah, I've worn a Fitbit for years, and looking at my sleep patterns, you could tell at a glance, okay, that night I was drinking because the sleep pattern was just so off. And a lot of the reading I've done, I mean, alcohol is an anesthetic. So when you wake up at 3 in the morning, that's when the anesthetic wears off, and whatever you were doing before kicks right back in.
Exactly.
Not to mention the
Exactly.
side effects of the alcohol. And it's, yeah, but getting it out of your system, man, sleep like a baby these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gail, Stephanie, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I can remember all the times I would wake up 3:30 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and couldn't figure out why I was so jacked up, and couldn't real. I mean, I passed out around, or slept, quote unquote, at 10 o'clock. Why am I awake at 2? And why can't I sleep? And why am I watching TV? And why am I? Because I'm looking and thinking about when can I go get the next drink? Because I really feel like shit. So yeah, I totally relate.
Me too, Jen. Everything was fade to black. I drank to fade to black to pass out. But I used to have these vivid dreams, Sometimes I'd have these vivid dreams like, how did this hamburger get on my stomach? Why is this pizza in my ear? When did I put grass in my bedroom? How come there's gravel on the bathroom floor? And what is this big piece of crap doing next to my ear? They were amazing.
I think one of the best things about waking up now is I'm not doing damage assessment. And when I was drinking, I would also wake up at 2 in the morning and 3 in the morning, but I couldn't immediately do anything. And I had to do damage assessment. Like, where was I? Who did I offend? I was looking on the driveway to see if my car was in the driveway, right? Or did I leave it at the car? Or, whatever. I had to assess the damage from the night before. So there was no getting out of bed and hitting the day. And now I'm actually even a little better than that, because like I think around month 4 and 5, I started to do that where I could get out of bed and hit the day. Now I get out of bed, I take my daily reflections book, I sit down, I read it, and then I send like a paragraph to my sponsor about, how I'm feeling about the daily reflection. And then there's also a daily reflection meeting that's on Zoom that I try to hit in the morning if the technicians aren't rebelling in the warehouse. Yeah, it works out pretty well. But I think that the time I save from not having to do an assessment report in the morning, to look around and survey the damage and see what happened and look at my texts to see, who did I drunk test and all that stuff. I don't have to do that anymore because that's not happening anymore. So it's awesome. So anyway, just one of the perks of being sober.
That is amazing, because Chris, I literally would wake up at like 3 in the morning and then roll over and kind of have to rock my wife to sleep, or to wake up, and say, I love you, and then judge, how bad was I the night before? And if she said, I'll talk to you about it in the morning, I knew I really screwed up. Sorry, I don't want to swear. But I knew that I had really, really done something. I'm like, God, that was the damage assessment. I did it constantly. And she's like, why are you waking me up? And I'm just like, because I want to know how bad I messed up and how I'm going to cover this up. So I totally get that. And that's all I got. You're on mute, Chris. I don't know.
I think, yeah, it's the sleep and the health that we get when we find sobriety is incredible, isn't it? Like, we start making correct and adequate choices. We don't go to bed in fear that we fucked up our lives or did something again. Like, did we throw boulders in our lake last night and create like tsunami waves, or was it, you know, how out of control did we get last night? And to me, I like waking up knowing that I didn't mess up the night. I think one of my favorite things when I was in a rehab, you know, you're susceptible to random urine drops. And after a while on probation, you're like, man, I'm kind of trying to get over the system, you know, doing this, that, and the other. But when you're sitting in rehab and they call your name, you're like, I have no fears. I have no anxiety. I'm clean. I didn't drink. I didn't use drugs. It's all good. And waking up without that anxiety and that fear in my life has done so much to help me stay focused on doing the things that I need to do. And even getting a good night's solid worth of sleep is, it's good at repairing the damage of our brain that we've done, because, you know, this is a disease of our brain. And when we use a lot of those chemicals and the, you know, on our brain, we kind of start deteriorating our brain cells. So even coming up from this from a whole different avenue, we're starting to get healthy again. And not just the actual feeling of sobriety, but the actual physicality of healing. Like, our muscles, our skin, everything starts clearing up. We can, you know, some of our eyes might get a little bit more whiter. You know, there's a lot of health benefits of getting sober that are kind of overlooked when we're drinking. Like, we're in an addiction and we're not considering how much damage we're really doing. You know, we see it in like our relationships and all of these things that we're just oblivious to. And I think that not having that anxiety, like Stephanie mentioned in the chat, it's freeing to me. It's surreal in many ways. And so I think that this has definitely been you know, another great group to keep me at home and at bay, and understanding that in many ways, no matter who's telling the story, if we just listen, we will hear ourselves speak. And I think that is what is so important about being in these communities. And what I found in Sobriety Engine is that there's a lot of rawness, and people are courageous to share that rawness. People ask the right questions without fear because they want to get the right answers to help themselves heal. And I think that is a big part of my process, is how willing am I to ask the questions that I need the answers to know. Am I gonna tuck my tail and not assess, you know, the damage analysis that I have to do, that I have done for months, years of my life? Or am I going to sit here and, you know, pull up my pants, you know, and be like, hey, I've got to do some serious inventory here, some serious gut checks, and I have to ask the difficult questions that I've been avoiding for a long time. And many times, a lot of those questions for me came back to my early childhood and my adolescence, when I started using, when I was picking up and adding in substances instead of asking questions. And so my answers became drink, smoke, put this up your nose, put this down your throat, do this, that, and the other, and see what these effects feel, and what kind of journey are we going to go on tonight? Where are we going to end up tonight? Is it going to be jail tonight? Are we going to be dead? Are we going to make it alive? Like, you know, what's going on? And so I think when we put in that determination to find a better quality life, the sky is really the limit. And it's kind of ironic, because I found myself looking up at the sky a lot in the fall and appreciating how beautiful life can really be. When I would leave in the fall before, it was just my favorite time to get caramel flavored vodka and apple cider, you know, to have a caramel apple that way. And that's not healthy. So just the clarity that comes from all of this is incredibly beautiful. And I'm incredibly grateful for for Chris to share, for all of you guys to share, all of the support in this community, the ongoing support. I know that I'm safe here. And I know that other people are safe here as well. And I'm forever grateful for that. So does anybody else have some last minute words for our group today? Chris can take us home because it's his story.
You're on mute, Chris.
There you go. Say that all again. I'll say it right this time. So just being able to share is cathartic. You get up here and you get to say it, and it's a little it's healing a little bit, to get that out, and then to hear David talk about the same problem, assessing the damage. I wasn't the only one, and that's really how I got. So I was going to AA resentfully when I first went to AA. I went because I was in a program that said if you don't clock 3 meetings a week with these signatures, we're going to chuck you out of here. So I was like, okay, I got to go to 3 meetings a week. And I really just was trying to get through the meetings, but every time someone spoke in the front of the room, I'd be like, oh, I used to hide my liquor in the wash machine too. I used to, I could hear a little bit of my story in every share that was going on up there. Every time a person was the chairperson for a meeting, they would share and I would hear. So, but now 15 months in, almost 16 months in, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I mean, I'd say, finding the rooms and staying close to people in the rooms and staying close to the community has been the single largest part of me staying sober. And days like today and events like this are a big part of that. So thank you all. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we appreciate you being here and giving us the time. And again, thank you for sharing your story. It means a lot. If nobody else has anything else left to say, we can go ahead and take our moment of silence here and consider those who are still out there fighting the fight that we have recovered from. And we will close with the serenity prayer after that.
Can I just add one thing before we close? One thing that has followed me into sobriety that kind of hit me when we talk about doing damage control the next morning, text messages and stuff that we send. I find oftentimes at night, and I used to think it came about because of drinking, you get in this really thoughtful mood and you start thinking about strange things. Well, I still do that. And sometimes I'll text people 9:30 at night, and start like a, philosophical conversation. And they always ask, are you drinking? No, this is actually me. This is actually my strange mind going off. But and actually I kind of like it, and it doesn't bother me so much anymore because I know that this is the real me. This is what I think. This is what I wonder about. So yeah, it's not all bad, but it's not damage control anymore. I don't hold people's opinions against them anymore because I'm sober. Anyways, thank you.
We will continue with our moment of silence and then end out with the serenity prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change. Wisdom to know the difference.
Wisdom to know the difference.
Just for today. Thank you all for sharing your Saturday morning or afternoon with me and Sobriety Engine. I hope you guys all go off in good spirits today, in good health, and continue to fight the good fight. Understand that we are not alone. We never will be alone as long as we keep putting in the effort to come into these rooms. We remain fearful of what is out there on the other side of this monster, and we will continue to do this with determination. Thank you guys, and I hope to see you guys around tonight or in other meetings. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you,
job,
everybody.
Chris.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Chris
Bye.
and Travis and everybody.